Hey loves, it's Amber and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. Today we are here in cast giving some makeovers to some randomly generated townies that popped up in my Origins Legacy save file. So if you don't know, I've been streaming the Origin Legacy here on the channel, and I have a single mother who is looking for a little bit of fun, maybe a little bit of casual dating. So we had her hop on Cupid's Corner in my last live stream, and she matched with a couple of kind of randomly generated townies, and I thought they would be pretty good bases, and I could just kind of give them some adjustments and make them my own. I thought that that kind of made sense because for the Origin Legacy, kind of the point is to create your own save file and really have a connection with all the Sims. But I also like starting with bases that maybe I don't create because I can sometimes struggle with a little bit of same face syndrome, especially when it comes to my male Sims. I don't love making male Sims, and so I tend to kind of gravitate towards the same things and kind of the same base when I'm creating them. And so I thought this would be a fun idea to give me a little bit of variety and be able to make some different Sims, but still create them and kind of have those connections with them. So for this first Sim, this is Devin, and he is cheerful, materialistic, and outgoing. And I decided to give him a little bit more of like a polished look. For one, he's actually a little bit older, so he is an adult. The Sim that is looking to date, her name is Alicia, and she's actually a young adult. She has a toddler daughter, so it's just her and her daughter, and she's not necessarily looking to introduce a man to her family, but just, have a little bit of fun outside of being a mom all the time. So Devin's a little bit older. I considered aging him down so that he would be a young adult, but I don't actually think there are any adult Sims in the save file, and so I thought it would be good to have a little bit of variety in the age ranges. I feel like I tend to create and kind of default to creating young adult Sims like when you're playing through the game. I feel like that's kind of where a lot of us start, and so I wanted to make sure that I am adding Sims of all different age groups just to make sure there is some variety in my save file. Also, I thought it kind of made sense that, maybe he's a little bit older. He's, recently divorced, and he's just kind of also out and just looking a little bit for something casual. And I think it would kind of keep them on the same page, but I also think it allows for some possibility of a little bit of miscommunication. Devin isn't exactly seeing eye to eye with kind of how she wants to go about dating. He's a little bit older. Maybe he's not used to putting up with like someone with young kids, stuff like that. So I think it just kind of adds to the possibility of adding a little bit more drama and interest to the save file. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, I didn't want to make too many adjustments to like the actual faces of these Sims. It's two Sims that we're doing in today's video, but I did end up making some adjustments. I feel like the random townies, their proportions aren't always logical. I mean, it's kind of just randomly assigning them presets, and so sometimes those presets just don't really go together. So I left the base pretty much how it was, but just kind of adjusted it just a little bit to make sure that I thought the proportions felt natural for a Sim to have. And I'm actually really happy with how he turned out. I think he looks really good, and I think he kind of fits for his traits. I also was able to, because he's an adult, work with some skin details I don't typically use. I gave him a little bit more fine lines and things like that, just to give him a little bit more of a mature look. And I like trying to make sure that I'm really going through all of the possibilities when I'm creating my Sims to create unique Sims. I'm so used to using CC that when I'm creating Sims without CC, I have to try to remember all the categories that we have. Like when I was creating these two Sims, I made sure to remember to go in and add body hair and tattoos because that's something that I kind of tend to forget about unless I'm using CC tattoos, and then those are typically like large full body tattoos. And so kind of remembering all those things was a little bit more difficult for me, I guess, but I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting into it and that I'm still working on creating unique Sims and not relying so much on having CC to make my Sims look distinct, or honestly, sometimes using CC makes your Sims look the same depending on what skin details you use. I guess I didn't say I'm trying not to use a ton of CC in this save file just because with the recent issues with custom content, I wanted to have a save file where I could pretty easily use it without having to try and go in and make over a bunch of Sims, because when I lost a lot of my custom content with the recent issues, I had to make over a bunch of Sims. So I wanted to have Sims that are pretty easy for me to just hop in and play. The only things I really used on these Sims is skin details and custom eyes, as well as like my custom blush because I love it. The thing with that is that like if they didn't have it, they would still look like themselves, but they would be just be less cute. So I decided I would go ahead and use those things because if I lost him, it would be fine. And then moving into our second sim, this is Jonathan. He's also outgoing, he's a goofball, and he's mystical. And this sim, I gave a little bit more of like I guess like a little bit more of like a traditionally geeky look. I don't know if it necessarily makes sense for his traits, but I just thought it looked cute on him. I did use this hair from Royalty and Legacy, and I used quite a few things from Loyalty and Legacy for the previous sim as well. I decided to just give him a little bit more of a casual look. I didn't realize when I was creating him that I'm actually on his formal wear right now, which was a little bit annoying because I go back and see his every day, and of course he has this different hair. That hair actually really isn't bad, but the one we gave him is better. So I'm kind of going through and putting that outfit that I just put on him back on him because I thought that it was cute. But then I realized that he is mystical, so I decided to do his mystical, and that came with the fairies pack. I would give him an outfit from that pack. I don't know. I tend to like when I'm using like specific traits, I tend to try to match that. So I decided to give him a look from that pack instead. And I honestly think it turned out really cute. I actually really like this top and I think it looks good. So instead, I was kind of leaning into a little bit more of like a mystical ish vibe. Not very much. Like he's not going to wear the outfits that you have your fairies in, but just a little bit more whimsy to his clothing. I did give him a pretty formal wear, but I just think this is really cute. I love this little jacket, and so I thought it fit really well, especially with the hair and the glasses. For both of these Sims, I think their sleepwear and their fitness wear are basically the same thing, but I like to think that, you know, Sims don't have an infinite wardrobe, so there's no need for me to like overthink some of these outfits that you'll never see. I do try to give them full outfits or all their sets of outfits when I'm creating them, just so they don't pop up wearing something absolutely insane. Even though I've noticed that Sims, when you're not playing them, even if you set all their outfits, they'll wear things that you never assigned to them as outfits, which is pretty frustrating. In the last live stream, I had some of my founder families come in wearing just the most townie coded outfits, and they do not have those as outfits. I have created all their outfits. They should never be looking townie coded, but there they were wearing absolute insanity for clothes. So I'm not really sure how that works or how the game decides to do that, but it can be a little bit frustrating. Either way, I think that these two Sims turned out well, and it'll be probably a little bit before we get back to Alicia and are kind of playing through her story. But I thought it was really nice to have these options for Sims that can potentially move in and, you know, maybe have a little bit of romance. I don't know entirely what I think or who I think she would end up with. I think that's kind of part of the fun, is just having those as available options. They don't live in the world, but they're just kind of there. And I think that, you know, if something happens, they can move in and then we'd just be able to add to the population. And so that's kind of how I want to play out this series, just giving some makeovers to townies that show up in the background so that we can make sure that the world is kind of growing and evolving. But you'll have to let me know what you think. Who do you prefer? Do you think Jonathan is cuter or do you think Devin is cuter? And if you've seen any of the live streams, you can go back. I'll link them down below. I'll link the episode where we played with Alicia down below if you want to check it out. But it's been a lot of fun. I'm enjoying streaming. I'm not sure how much time I'll have for it kind of moving forward, but it's been a lot of fun to do over the past couple of weeks. And I hope that you like the way these Sims turned out. Please let me know who's your favorite down below. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. I appreciate each and every one of you who takes a little bit of time out of your day to hang out here with me. And I will see you all next time. Bye.